Okay, we'll continue with the absorption of roots. As far as the mechanism for absorption of the roots in the plants are concerned, it involves basically 5 different steps to be called as imbibition, diffusion, osmosis, active transport, turgidity and flaccidity. Now, what is imbibition is the seeds of the plant, wooden doors swell up during the monsoon season. You may have noticed that is when mummy is preparing beans or gram for breakfast. In the night before, she soaks them in the water, and in the next day you see all these seeds swell up, and that is imbibition. That is absorption of water by the seeds. Dry seeds, obviously, or wooden doors is known as imbibition. Now we will try to understand what is diffusion. When molecules of it can be gas, it can be liquid, or sometimes it can be solid also. When molecules move from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration is known as diffusion. So what is diffusion? Diffusion means movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration is known as diffusion. That is, I can cite you with an example. I can give you an example. That is, you take a glass of water. What do you take? A glass of water. In that glass of water, you drop a drop of what? Ink. Ink is of higher concentration, water is of lower concentration. Therefore, what happens? This ink, after it goes into this glass of water, it tends to move in all possible direction and it diffuses, making that particular water blue in color, uniformly blue in color, is known as diffusion. Now, can you give me some of the examples? I gave you an example of a drop of ink in a glass of water. Can you give me some other examples of diffusion? Yes? Can you give? Other examples would be if your friend opens a YY packet in the far end of the class, the aroma of the YY uniformly spreads in the entire class. That is an example of diffusion. Okay, other examples you can see it yourself. Now we will try to understand what is osmosis. Osmosis and diffusion is slightly different. Now we will try to understand what is osmosis. Now osmosis means movement of water molecules, or movement of molecules, I would say, from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration, differentiated by, that is separated by, a semi-permeable membrane. What membrane? Semi-permeable membrane. Membrane is known as osmosis. I repeat again, osmosis is the movement of molecules from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration through a semi-permeable membrane is known as osmosis. We will try to understand how it takes place. There are various examples of the experiments to prove osmosis, but we will do it a very simple one. What we will do is, we will take one potato. What do we take? Potato. We will take one potato. After taking the potato, we take a knife. With the knife, we cut the potato into a block. After cutting all its sizes, and then make a scoop of the central portion of the potato, something like this, and this potato then will be called as a potato osmos cup. Okay, after cutting the potato into a cube and making it into a potato osmos cup, which looks something like this, with a depression here. Okay, then what we do after that is we take a saucer, and in the saucer we place the potato osmos cup. After placing the potato osmos cup on a saucer, what we do is we take a small glass and put at least about 3-4 spoons of sugar, put some water and dilute the sugar. After doing that, we put the sugar solution here. What do? We put the sugar solution here inside the potato osmos cup. After putting it, we put one small either toothpick or a nail here to mark the level of the water. Then in the saucer, what do? We add plain water. What do we add? Plain water. And leave the entire setup for some time. It can be 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours. After 5 hours, what do you observe? You observe the water inside the potato osmos cup has risen. It has gone to the next level, and you can put a second pin there. And if you had marked the level of the water in this saucer with a marker pen, the water level inside the saucer will go down and the water level inside the potato osmos cup goes up. Now it says the movement of water molecules from a region of lower sugar concentration to a region of higher sugar concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. The potato was a semi-permeable membrane which only allows selected molecules to pass through. So this is known as osmosis. The movement of water molecules from a region of lower sugar concentration to a region of higher sugar concentration, differentiated by or separated by a semi-permeable membrane, is known as osmosis. Now, we will try to understand what is active transport. Now, as far as active transport is concerned, the transportation of what? Molecules. Transportation of molecules from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration with the expense of energy. Or when energy is utilized for the transportation of molecules of water, maybe gas or even solid, to some extent, from a region of lower concentration to a higher concentration with the use of what? With the use of energy, is known as active transport. Okay, now we will try to understand at the end what is turgidity and flaccidity. When a small cell absorbs plenty of water, then what happens? It swells up, no? It swells up. That state is known as a turgid state. Then again, if that cell loses water, what does it do? It loses water. It gives out water and it shrinks. Then it is called a flaccid state. Okay, like for example, grapes, you can take an example of turgidity because they are puffed. They contain plenty of water, therefore we can say it is turgid. But now, when water is extracted from that, it becomes flaccid. The flaccid state, the loss of water when the plant or when the cell loses plenty of water and becomes flaccid, that state is known as plasmolysis. And the turgidity state, the turgid state, can also be called as deplasmolysis. What can it be called? Deplasmolysis.